Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, live on Park City Television. There are so many fantastic events we are fortunate enough to have in our community, none more so than the Thin Air Festival, which will be kicking off its second season. And I am joined by Richard Bessemer and Ben Rifkin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. So I want to talk a little bit for people who may not be aware of the Thin Air Festival. They missed it last year, the first time around. Give us a little bit of an overview of what it is.
Sure. Well, this is the second, as you mentioned, this is the second annual Thin Air Innovation Festival. Last year was our launch. This came about from an initiative of the Park City Chamber. They were looking for a way to bring some energy to the end of the season, find a way to bring some business activity and help move the needle, as they said, during the end of the season, bring some really interesting people out here. So last year we did our first Thin Air Innovation Festival. It's a 3-day event. It starts on Wednesday. For this year, it starts on next Wednesday, a week from today, actually.
April 5th,
Yeah,
right?
April 5th.
Okay.
And there's an opening night at the Joria Center, which is going to go from 7 o'clock to around close to 9 o'clock. And then on Thursday and Friday, we have breakout sessions. That'll be at Santee Auditorium and OP Rockwell. There'll be 2 per day. They start at 12 o'clock and go from 12 to 2:30 and then 3 to 5:30. And those bring in some amazing people talking about, and I'll flip to Ben later, he can talk about the content a little bit. I'll just sort of lay out the overall framework.
Sure.
And those are really interesting sessions. And then we have the Thin Air Lounge at Butcher's Chop House, which is from 12 o'clock to closing every day. It's kind of, we call it Thin Air HQ. It's where you go out to meet people and have conversations.
A little
networking. We're doing a really cool thing in there. We've met a guy in town here who's a writer and a contributor to Forbes magazine, and he does things called chairlift chats, where he gets on, he skis with executives and interviews them because he's a journalist and a ghostwriter.
Okay.
And then he submits these articles to Forbes and LinkedIn. And he's got a big following.
People open up more on a chairlift.
Yeah,
You're just going to start talking about the chair.
So we're taking a chairlift and putting it in the Thin Air Lounge, and we're going to do something like this with our guest speakers.
Oh, how
and he'll do
cool.
the interviews, and we'll record them and tape them and share them that way. So that's the Thin Air Lounge. And then we have the big concert on Main Street.
Which is just sort of one big party, right?
Yes.
So when this started last year, I know it was initially the Thin Air Technology Festival, and then everyone said, no, the scope of that is too narrow. We want to call it the Innovation Festival. So this is really an opportunity for businesses, entrepreneurs to come together, and it's just sort of a thought-provoking, discussion-based event.
Yeah, sure. Ben?
Yeah, we think of Thin Air as a 3-day retreat for business professionals to inspire, elevate, and collaborate. And so what we mean by that is we put together a framework of content, and then we leave plenty of open space for these business professionals to conduct their own meetings, their own retreats, their own getaways, boondoggles, whatever they want to participate in here. And so on the inspiration side, we really think of that as our core content. So that's our opening night, our afternoon sessions on Thursday, April 6th, and Friday, April 7th. On the elevation side, we really think about our experiences that we have for our attendees. We have opportunities to ski with Olympians and learn about the cultural history of Deer Valley Resort, opportunities to participate with Green Berets and Navy SEALs on sort of a mission briefing and execution. What else do we have, Richard?
We're going to have to go online and get the itinerary.
Yeah, there's
because
plenty.
this is you've really packed it.
And then the collaboration goes back to the lounge and the networking and kind of this idea of, rather than a vertical conference, which many are, this sort of broad, open conference that brings together diverse groups of people to connect and understand, different ideas that they can apply to their own industries and careers.
Well, I love that it's different industries. I mean, I think the concept, of course, once all of the tourists start to go, we have a lot of seasonal workers that still need that work, and we want to bring people in, later in April, and then hopefully maybe they'll return Christmas week on vacation next year. So, I mean, from a community economic standpoint, the timing is really great. But what I love is there's such a diverse lineup of participating businesses that, like we said, it's not just technology. You've had outerwear companies, you've had hospitality companies, and a lot of the messages are really universal that people can learn from each other and learn from mistakes.
Well, frankly, it's interesting because your question before was around how it started really as a notion for a technology conference of some sort. We took that idea and decided to broaden it by trying to create an innovation festival, which is broader than just technology. But frankly, where we think we're heading is more towards conversations and content around high performance and what it takes to be the best at what you do, which we actually think is more authentic to this community.
Yes.
And what people expect of it, or if you will, the Park City brand.
Sure.
But also to your point, most conferences tend to be very focused or narrow. They're either focused around an industry or a particular trade craft or a media organization. And we decided to actually go with something that tries to create chemistry around different types of people from different perspectives, but talking about the same types of subjects. So for this year, our theme is around leadership performance. And we don't mean leadership in the sense of how do you, as a leader, get people to follow you. We're talking about leadership in the sense that how do you get into a leadership leading position, and how do you perform at the highest? And what we're going to do is we're going to create content that conversations will revolve around how we use data, which is obviously a significant trending issue.
Sure.
How do we develop cultures in individuals, teams, and organizations to be high performance, and how do we create customers and products? So those would be the sort of the sub-themes around the overall theme of high performance.
And that's really universal, no matter what organization you are. And I think developing that corporate culture, it's something a lot of people overlook. And like you said, it's not how to be a leader. It's like if you are, they'll follow.
Well, there's been a lot of research on that. One of the, several studies that we, just in terms of preparing for this conference, we've done some research, and you find that creating the right type of culture in your organization tends to be the second most important thing that you can do in your organization in order to maintain leadership positions, well, to get into it and maintain it. So we think, obviously, if you go to any bookstore, even go look at books online, culture is obviously one of the most important topics.
The culture is exactly. So for people that are watching and they think, okay, I want to be a part of this, I want to participate, how do people get involved?
Yeah, so the best way is to visit thinairparkcity.com. On our website, we have tickets that are specific for our opening night, which is next Wednesday at the DeJoria Center, as Richard said. And then we have all-in tickets that allow you to attend opening night, the sessions on Thursday and Friday, go to the lounge where we have a hosted menu of food and beverage, participate in experiences, and then, of course, attend the concert on Friday night, which is free and open to the public, and really a community celebration for a job well done on the ski season.
We love a Main Street concert.
Yeah.
It's just a nice way to kick it off.
Yeah, nice weather. Let's cross our fingers for some great weather, because we had great weather last year. We had the concert on Main Street during spring break when a lot of families were out of town. Still had 5,000 people show up, and it was
5,000.
Yeah, it was packed.
It was packed, and it was a great environment. This year's entertainment's really interesting. We have the first act is from a band called March 4th, which is effectively like a street show circus group of about 20 musical performers. They're really, really neat. And then they're going to be followed up by the band Magic, which had a big hit last year, a reggae pop. So it's basically meant to be really fun, uplifting street party.
Just a way to close it out, exactly.
Yeah. Kids, dogs on streets, just like Halloween, but sometime in spring.
Well, that sounds like Park City all wrapped up into one. Richard,
Exactly.
Ben, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Sounds like
you.
this is going to be a great event.
Yeah, hope you can join us.
Absolutely. If you want to be a part of the Thin Air Innovation Festival, there are still tickets available. Please go to their website and be part of yet another fantastic addition to our Park City landscape. We're going to take a break here on the Mountain Morning Show and be back with much more. You're watching Park City Television.